This Amateur Radio Roundtable is brought to you in part by ICOM America. I didn't think the camera was coming back to me. Hey guys, welcome. Hey, it's September the 4th, Tuesday, September the 4th, and you're watching Amateur Radio Roundtable. And tonight, you got me, W5KUB Tom. We've got Katie Allen with us, WY7YL, and we've got, who's our guest tonight?
I don't know, does he count as a guest?
I guess he does.
I mean, he's kind of a regular.
We've got, let me tell you guys, we've got the chief engineer of radio waves here. Emmett Hohensee, look at this, W0QH. I think I got that right. So let me.
Yes, you did.
Look at here. So we got and I'm missing Dave. I'm looking for Dave. If I don't know, somebody tell me if Dave's in the chat room. I don't see him online. So anyway, thanks for everybody for tuning in tonight. Hey, it's been a good night. We had our 40-meter net right before the show tonight. We had about 20 good check-ins. They did pretty good. Hey, I got a couple of call-outs here. Boy, I want to call out KX2F, Abel in Warsaw, Indiana. I talked to Abel, KX2F tonight on the net, and also Jimmy down near Austin, Texas, WB5MET was on the net tonight, 40-meter net. We try to meet around 7180 from 5:30 to close to 7 o'clock p.m. Central Time on Tuesday night. So, hey, join us. And look what came in the mail today. Boy, I got me a QSL card from Spike. Everybody knows Spike in the chat room there.
Oh, yeah, Spike.
Say hi to Spike.
Hey, Spike.
I recognize
Spike has
the
a
call,
real name. I thought he was just Spike.
Look at there. He's got a real name. Look.
Oh, now you're busted.
Yeah, he's got a real name now. So that's Spike. Well, anyway, hey, listen. We're also simulcasting our show tonight on International Shortwave Station WBCQ out of Monticello, Maine. And we're on 5130 kilohertz. And we'd like to hear from you. If you're out there listening on shortwave tonight, send us an email to tom@w5kub.com. Let us know where you are and how you're hearing us and all that kind of stuff. Also, if you've got the internet handy right now, you can join it and you can join us and watch the show. You can watch live video and also join the chat room. You can go to w5kub.com where the show is tonight and you can watch that. Hey, is there anybody else new in the chat room tonight? Any first timers in the chat room? If you are, say something, say hello in the chat room. We'd like to know you're there. Hey, let's just get started here. I'm gonna jump over real first. Let's see. Let's just chit chat a minute. Let me go back over here to Katie and Emmett. There we go. I got them both up there. Hey guys.
Oh, there we are.
What y'all been doing lately?
Well, let's see. What have we been doing lately? Oh, well, let's see. I got to look at my screen here. It's all goofy. This new Skype is gonna mess with us until we get used to it. Look at this small screen. Well, we just had our antenna project this weekend, which I'll talk about in a little bit, and discovered a little problem in the shack that we got fixed because we were having problems with our 80-meter antenna, and it's a connector. So that was fortunately an easy fix. And I think Dwayne was on the phone with Janet at Anaheim HRO earlier, ordering some coax for the new antennas up on the tower. And so we're doing our part to keep the ham radio economy going, just like everybody else getting something here and there. But so yeah, we got to order up some. I think we're getting some LMR 400, and I don't know. He'll be here soon. Dwayne will be here soon, so we'll have him jump in and add some additional information as we go. But yeah, we had the kids here this weekend, and I made everybody stop on Sunday. We had Dom W7ETR and Bill N7QAX came over to help us with the antennas, and we're, as always, ever so grateful for their help and support because we just can't do it without them. And then we took a drive around Spearfish Canyon with the kids and just had a nice weekend, nice long holiday weekend. It was really good and back to the grind today.
All right. Well, sounds like you've been really busy. I can't even remember what I've been doing. How about you, Emmett? What have you been doing all week?
Oh, man, just been building antennas, which is a good thing. And getting ready to go down to Dallas, Texas to spend some time with the good friends down in HRO land down at the Plano store. We're planning on being down there on Tuesday with MCOM 1. We're showing off some neat goodies and spending some time with the good folks down there. Other than that, we've been doing some radio maintenance as well here in the shack. kind of like Katie, where you discover things that are, things start failing, and of course we automatically assume that it's one of the big things, and it's not. It's something
Right.
really simple.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to talk about tonight a little bit too.
Well,
Excellent.
I hope you're practicing what you're going to preach about tonight, are you?
Oh, like I said, I just finished doing some maintenance here, which is what I pretty much do just about once or twice this time of the season. Before things really get bad, I'll go out and check things one more time. But for the most part, yes, I did. As a matter of fact, that's what I was doing. A good part of today was checking things out, making sure things were
I'll
right.
have to admit, I kind of wait till they fall, but I've been so lucky they don't fall, man. I got so many up out there. Hey, and oh man, and I don't use pulleys. My ropes grow into the trees, ropes grow into the trees, and I can't get them down, man. But hey,
Wait for them to rot away.
Up. They're staying up, and hey, Emmett, I'm using this this double field wire, military field wire for the antennas. This got steel in it. It's got copper and some steel strands, and man, if you try to pull it down, you can pull the tree over almost. So I'm just leaving it up. It's working pretty good there. So hey, first let's jump over with Katie. And Katie, do you want to wait, Katie, until Dwayne gets home, or you want to talk about some of the things you've done with your antennas?
Well, I wouldn't mind waiting. I mean, I have mostly just kind of a lot of pictures, but if we want to talk, let Emmett talk first for a change.
Sure.
I'm sure he'll be in shock to actually get to talk first, but.
Well, we can do that, and we can take kind of a break here about midway, and then, hey, you know what, we can do this, Emmett, let's start with you, and then when Dwayne gets in, we'll kind of take a break, and we'll jump over to Katie and Dwayne, and then, hey, we'll come back to you, and we might just open phone lines or something and just have a good night,
Sounds like fun.
So hey, you're going to talk to us tonight about, I guess, inclement weather coming on and what we should do and how to take care of all this stuff, right?
Pretty much. One of the big things that we have to start thinking about is quit thinking about all the cool things we're doing inside of our shack and start thinking about what we're doing outside. As Katie earlier said, they discovered they were having a problem with one of their antennas, an 80-meter antenna, which probably was one of mine.
No, it was inside the shack.
Oh,
but it is your antenna that wasn't working properly, but not because of your antenna. It was because of our connector.
Exactly, and that's one of the things we get a lot of, especially as the season starts to change, conditions change everywhere, and moisture gets in places where it's not supposed to. We have some big storms coming up. You have it's not really a hurricane anymore, but you had some very bad weather coming up from the south. That's going to be hitting the Midwest, and it's already hitting New Orleans and so on. So water is going to permeate everywhere. And a lot of times we automatically assume that it's like, let's say, the antenna's fault, where in reality it could be just some simple moisture got into the connector and you needed to clean your connectors out. Hence the reason why I suggest, doing your maintenance at least 2 times a year, with the major changes of seasons. That way you can catch things before they really start to happen. Like you have some squirrels and they just happen to chew up your coax. I wish I had a couple of those pictures with me. I don't right now. I am putting together a really a little presentation for everyone on W5KUB. Basically going through a lot of these things, but for right now, the key things to remember. Now, if you've got a pen and paper, please, or actually if you have a notepad, as in a digital notepad or whatever, start taking notes, because it's important stuff.
Paper and pen.
Maybe even this weekend, go outside, which I know is scary sometimes. Go outside, look at your coax, look at all your coax connections. If they're not taped up and sealed up, you're going to want to go ahead and make sure the radios are turned off and everything's grounded. Disconnect your coax cables. Take a look on the inside. If you see stuff like crud, I'm going to probably grab one of these connectors here in a few minutes and show you. You'll see like a little, if you have one of those silver plated connectors, you'll notice that it starts to really tarnish. Well, it's time to start looking at either replacing the connector or cleaning it, which you can do. HRO does sell one of our kits, which is it's a connector kit, which is designed to help clean your connectors, fill in the voids, help keep you from, getting your moisture inside of your connector. That PL connector and the SO connector pair are, by their very nature, they cannot keep moisture out of the connector unless you've totally taped it up, sealed it up, and whatever. So the best thing we can do is fill it with something, seal it or keep moisture from coming in, and then even possibly putting stuff like what we use, what's called a Penetrox material on the threads that act as a sacrificial medium, so that way the connection isn't all messed up and water doesn't permeate inside the connector. Believe it or not, it's the simplest thing in the world. It's the connector. It's the cable. It's those simple things. If you had a lot of weather going on and all of a sudden half your antennas are dead, I strongly suggest looking at, if you have lightning arresters, look at those little caps in there. Make sure that that's all sealed up, because they do fail, not from being struck, but possibly because of oxidation and corrosion that gets inside of those connectors. Because most people don't buy a commercial grade connector because they're so stinking expensive. So we end up buying the ones that we get as amateurs, and they have a tendency of leaking too. So it does not hurt to seal those up and make sure your ground connections are good.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
If you have a connector and it's gotten wet, like, Joe K0NEB is mentioning in the chat room, and we've had a lot of weather around here and rain and wind, and so the connectors out there are getting wet. Can they just, for me, I'm thinking, oh, well, you just kind of wait it out and let them dry on their own. Will they do that, or will they always get, crudded up, or is it kind of that's why you have to check, because it could go one way or the other?
Well, an interesting thing is when you get moisture that permeates, especially connectors that are on the ground that haven't been taped up and sealed up, what will happen is that moisture permeates in there. And that moisture isn't just pure 100% water. It carries dirt. It carries, hey, it's El Honcho. It carries dirt. It carries minerals, specifically minerals. And what will happen is those little gaps inside that connector, when you transmit, all these little arcs will start to form. And what will happen, like I said, with this, like the silver bearing type connectors, you'll notice that they start to turn purple or a blue. That's a good sign that, things have either gotten hot, they've been exposed to the outside, basically air. It's oxidized. And what that blue is basically the oxidization of the silver. And so when it gets wet, you need to go ahead and disconnect that cable. Don't use like steel wool or the green stuff. Use a simple paper towel. We even go as far as using an eraser sometimes to help clean it. Now, yes, it's going to wear out the connector, but guess what it just did? It cleaned off all that oxidization, which will cause you more problems. Because those SO239 connectors have, they have these little, it's a little pin, okay? It's like basically 4 pieces, and in some of them it's only 2. And when you put when you put the connector in, they spread apart, okay? And what will happen is over time, that oxidization, vibration, and working at an AM radio station, believe it or not, every connection vibrates when you transmit. Okay, it moves. And it's kind of funny, when I was working at an AM station here in St. Louis, I always knew when I was having a problem with one of my fillings, because my fillings would start vibrating in my jaw, and I would hear the station when I started getting close to what we called the doghouse, and that was generally because it was really loose. But what basically happens is it's that connection vibrates at the frequency that we're transmitting at. And if it's an amplitude type modulations type thing, like single sideband, I know it's not AM, but there's still a modulation, and it's a impulse type frequency. It vibrates, and as it vibrates, it creates little arcs, and those little arcs eventually create oxidization, which will cause the connector to fail. And so yes, if you've had your connectors outside, they haven't been protected, you're looking good, man. Looking really good.
Hey Emmett, you're talking about the arcing there. Let me tell you, and I've got some pictures here of WBCQ. Where they run the big 6 or 8 inch ladder line out to the antennas. But anyway, there's a video with them laying a couple sticks across it, and of course it's burning and arcing. but you can actually hear. You can actually hear the person talking. The stick burns and vibrates at audio rates, and I've even seen that on ham antennas where you'd have the end of a dipole up against a tree, and it's like it's a speaker
spark.
there.
Yeah. Yeah, hey. And it's an amazing thing, because what's happening is it's that electromagnetic impulse that's causing a lot of that, plus the voltages and so on.
Yeah. Hey, let me interrupt just 1 minute. I've got to do this. I'm so sorry. A friend of mine is in the chat room tonight, K5VBF. His name is Sam. And Sam and I go way back probably 40, 45 years and as hams. And I lost track of Sam for about the last 15 or 20 years, man. And we hooked up with Sam today. He didn't even know about the show, and Sam is in the chat room tonight. I'm sure he's watching. So,
hey
Sam,
Hi,
send me an email, Sam. Send me an email, man. Isn't it great? Isn't it great to hook up with your old friends in ham radio?
That's super cool. Wow.
Well, what's really funny is I got a letter from a guy a little while ago. My dad's name and my name are the same, and my dad was a ham radio operator as well. He still is, but he's let his license lapse over the years. I've been trying to get him to re-up and all that, but he just, anyway, he's almost 90 now. So anyway, but it was really kind of funny. I got a letter. He thought it was me. I mean, he thought I was my dad. Yeah. And, he was talking about all the stuff that they used to do. And it was kind of funny, because it was really kind of neat. Now, it's going to be really fun is when my grandson Emmett the Fifth gets his license, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4 Emmets that all have call signs. So,
good grief.
But yeah, keeping things simple, but doing pretty simple and straightforward things, like checking the connectors. It doesn't hurt to disconnect the connector, look at it. Typically, I'll have a piece of just a simple paper towel, not a cotton swab, but paper towel. Believe it or not, it is slightly abrasive, but it's abrasive enough to remove a lot of the oxidization. And then I'll generally have my Penetrox, which I put on the threads on the outside. And then I use this other stuff that's called Stuff, which is all in the kit, which I inject inside the connector, which helps fill the void. Because when you look at the connector, okay, do you see this little ridge right in here?
Yep.
Okay, that generally stays open, so there's like this big gap. And what will happen is, let's say it's really hot right now, okay, and tonight it's going to get really cool, and the humidity is going to all the air, the moisture in the air is going to condensate. It'll condensate inside that little open gap, and that's where you'll start developing problems. I don't know. Those two look like they're doing something, and I'm about ready.
No, the cat is just meowing at the top of her lungs at the window out here. Sorry.
That's okay, but it's. I know we're really diving deep into just one little topic, which is just the connector and checking your connections. Also checking your coax. A lot of people like to use the connectors that. You basically strip, you solder, and you kind of screw in and so on. And those are notorious for, basically sapping moisture into the braid of the outside shield of the coax itself. And a lot of times you can have a good idea that you've got a problem with your coax when you start moving it around and it starts feeling crunchy, meaning that it feels like sorry, I was going to get a piece of paper. It feels almost like you're crunching paper. Okay, and that's a good sign that you've probably got moisture in your coax. Another quick way of telling, especially if you've got moisture in it and it hasn't dried out, is you'll notice that your antenna really swings one way or another as far as its characteristics are concerned, and that's another good sign that you've probably got some moisture in your transmission line. And the one thing that I've learned over time is that you really need to tape everything up if you can. I prefer using the silicone sealing tape instead of the tar tape, and the reason for that is it's easier to basically unwrap that silicone tape, which costs a little bit more, but the reality is I think it fuses better. It does seem to keep the moisture off of both connections, and I don't have to deal with as much maintenance as I did before. Because the whole trick is you need to maintain. Let's put it this way: when you seal that connector up, you want to keep it in the same, let's say, environment that it is 6 months from now. In other words, you don't want it to change that much, because the more the environment changes, the more that connector is going to go south on you. And it gets to be quite interesting. It's a fun study in itself, because we go through this on a weekly basis at the station, where people will call in, and of course they're talking about how the antenna itself. Just a second. How the antenna itself. Darn it. Sorry. You really want an antenna that swings both ways? Oh my gosh, Ray. Jeez. Anyway.
Was that Ray? Was that Ray?
Yes.
Probably sending you
Is
a
he
text,
watching,
yeah.
or did he just,
No, he's watching.
He's watching, but he sent me a message too. So.
All right. All right.
But
Busted, Ray.
the funny part about it is that by just checking all this stuff out, it makes life work a lot easier for you, especially when the winter comes and it becomes harder for you to do this maintenance. Now is the best time. Now is the best time to go ahead and look at that entire coax. If you have, by chance, something like a
Yeah.
sorry. Does the connector go south like the snowbirds? Anyway, something like an analyzer. I kind of like, some of these VNA type analyzers, because I'm able to basically sweep it. I can keep the information, from today, and I can sweep it again in a couple months, and I can compare the two. It's kind of the same thing here. As a matter of fact, as a radio engineer, what we would do is when we take our measurements, we would go ahead and we would actually enter those measurements in the log, and we would compare them over time. And that way we could see how the antenna itself or the transmission system or whatever major components are changing. And as they changed, we would know that we needed to either do maintenance or replacement or whatever. So to me, it's not just a radio log, it's also a maintenance log. And believe it or not, by sweeping your coax, by just you can even use your radio, at any given time, and look at, well, for instance, back here we've got the ICOM 7610 with the big display on there. And what will happen is we'll pick a dead spot on the line, and I'll hook the coax up to it directly. Using the waterfall, you can actually see at times where the antenna is more resonant and where it starts to drop off, because you'll literally see in the waterfall, you'll see the noise level go up, and then you'll see the noise level go back down again. And that gives you an idea of where the resonant point in the antenna is. Plus, it gives you an idea of what's really going on when you don't have an antenna analyzer to do all your work. But you really can't. How do I say this? You can't. I can't discount, doing this maintenance now, and do the maintenance, especially for the people down in New Orleans and Texas and Alabama and Mississippi and so on, that's getting hit with this weather. Once this passes, go through, check all your stuff, because I promise you're going to discover a couple really simple things that failed. And this is one of the things we were talking about before I was so rudely interrupted.
Hey, Emmett, talk to us a minute about different coaxes. I mean, I know there are different qualities, and I'm using some, I've got a lot of buried LMR 400, but up from the ground up to my antennas, it varies from like an RG8 to maybe an RG8X. I like the RG8X. It's small and light, and I've not had any problems with it handling the power. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Okay, just a second. I'm grabbing a couple pieces of coax. I thought I had some more in here.
I see Dwayne has made it back. He's made it in there.
He has.
Very
No
good,
speeding
good.
ticket, right?
Okay, now the interesting thing about RG8X, when we're talking HF, remember, we're talking a lower frequency. If we're talking VHF, we would be talking a higher level of power, higher loss rate and everything. So here I've got two different types of antenna. Sorry about that.
Yeah, and I was referring mostly to HF operation for sure. Yeah.
Now this is RG58. Okay.
Yep.
See, it's It's a nice coax. I use it when I go in the field. You can, on HF, you could go up to 100 feet with this and not really notice a huge difference between, this and the RG8X, which is a little bit bigger, has a bigger center conductor.
Right.
Can you see that?
Yep.
Okay. Anyway, this has a bigger center conductor, a little bit larger braid overall, so it can handle up to 1,500 watts on, everything up to about 30 megahertz. Up to 50 megahertz, I would probably want to go to a higher coax, which doesn't have as much loss, which would be something like the LMR 400, the Belden type coaxes and so on. But in the HF world, you don't necessarily have to, especially if your runs are under 150 feet. You really don't need to look at using the big stuff.
Well, and it makes a big difference too if you're talking 80 meters, 40 meters versus 12 meters and 10 meters too.
Right. Yeah. The loss goes up as the frequency goes up. So the bigger the coax, as far as like between the RG58 and the LMR 400 type coax, the better on the higher frequencies. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't use anything more than 50 feet of like an RG8X on VHF anyway, but I really wouldn't use that.
Yeah.
I do have some the equivalent of it's an LMR 240, which has an overall shield on it. It has a lot less loss to it. Has a little bit better copper on it, so it'll propagate a lot better at the higher frequencies and not have to lose a lot. So it saves us time, or actually it saves us having to stow things on MCOM-1 by not having to carry, a huge amount of the bigger coax.
Right.
So anyway, we were talking about the connections and testings and logs and so on. There's two things you should probably have in your shack. Okay, let me get this real quick. By the way, on the 7600, I have an open. For antenna 2. I don't have it connected to anything right now. So what I do is I terminate it with I'm disconnecting it right now, as you can. Oh darn, you can't see it, can you? My chair's in the way.
I can see a little bit.
These. Yeah. If it's an open antenna space, I'd go ahead and put a terminator on it. Okay, why? Because what it does is that connector on the inside, on the radio itself, will be susceptible to noise. So by putting a simple, dummy load on the back, you're isolating noise, the possible ingress, let's call it, for noise, and then you're also, protecting your radio too. So in case you accidentally do transmit on that frequency or on that antenna outlet, it's protected. But for instance, on the back end of these, let me get one of those too. These auto couplers. These auto couplers, like this, we have antenna 1 and antenna 2. Everyone sees it all the time. Now, as you remember, Katie, we did put dummy loads on all our open spots, on all our, at least on our stuff. And what that does is it cuts back on ingress. It cuts back on a lot of the, well, let's just put it this way. It cuts down on all possibilities of if you get someone who just goes, okay, I'll go to antenna 2. So they press antenna 2 and next thing you know, they're trying to transmit tune up and nothing's happened. Did I just knock my camera?
Yeah, a little bit. It kind of went boing.
You go antenna 1 and antenna 2, and it's open. And so you run the chance of messing up your radio. I prefer using the dummy loads, wherever I can. They're not expensive. They're 20-something bucks. If you want to spend a lot more money on them, you can. But it's more protection, and it cuts down on noise. And when I'm getting ready to do my maintenance outside, I sometimes go ahead and even put the dummy load on the other open slot. And what that does is it, protects the radio from, some RF ingress and a lot of the other problems that could happen. And then we go out and do the inspection of the cable. Now, the other part is grounding. A lot of times people think that their whole shack is grounded via the electrical system, which Yeah, you're grounded, but you're not grounded. Okay. The idea is to make sure that all your grounds are centrally located if you can keep it. What's up, Dwayne?
That I want to
Oh,
say,
oh, okay.
Katie had me muted.
Okay.
You're correct in that there is a difference in electrical ground and RF ground, and we all know that DC ground is not the same either. So you got to be careful with claiming your house ground as ground. Here in the shack, you've seen our shack. It's just a little room. We've got 3 ground rods on each end of the shack with 3 separate ground posts inside the shack. So it's we have 9 ground rods on the system, 3 at the tower, 3 on each end of the shack. Mm-hmm. So I don't take grounding for granted.
That's for sure.
Right. Yeah, and you're kind of in a lightning strong area too sometimes too where you're at, and big static issues too with that dry wind blowing over the towers. That's where grounding really comes into play. Also, when stuff does hit, if you have like your lightning suppressors on the outside, you're keeping your issues outside, and you're limiting and mitigating your damage that could possibly happen to your shack if you didn't disconnect all your coax before the storm hit. Typically, when I know I'm not, go ahead.
Benjamin Franklin invented the lightning rod, and he never once saw lightning strike or lightning rod. And the reason is because well-grounded systems dissipate the lightning before it ever strikes.
Right.
And that is the whole thing. I don't use any of the lightning arresters or anything like that. I just ground the system and leave it well-grounded.
Yeah, because you don't have any buildups, and it's being dissipated as you go along. Matter of fact, you'll see on some of the like VHF, UHF type antenna systems, you'll see these like spike things up at the top of the tower, and those are all for dissipating any type of buildup, so we don't have problems with static discharge and so on. I know in Africa when we built some FM radio stations that's what we did as well, just to help break down keep things from in the Sahara Desert area. The air is so dry that when it blows over a wire, it just creates so much static that and like let's say a tower, it just creates so much static. And let's say that tower just happens to be over an aquifer. It's like a big capacitor, and so it starts building up energy, then eventually it discharges, and then that's where you see all your lightning. But
the most lightning struck area of the country is where?
Florida?
Tampa, Florida.
Yep.
Really?
Really?
Yeah.
And it's because it's sitting over a saltwater basin.
Oh, yep. No kidding.
Yep. It's like a big storage capacitor. And as the clouds and everything start flying over the surface of that area, it just creates static, it's a static charge, and it just starts building up, and then it just discharges.
Bell Laboratories had a great big facility down there in the 50s and 60s for testing lightning strikes.
Again, you learned something new every day, and I did not know that.
Sorry.
How about that?
Yeah.
I even learned something from my husband. Because I was actually listening.
Wait a minute. Oh, that was a key phrase right there.
I was actually listening.
But like I said, the big thing is maintenance. The more you can do now to let's just say secure your shack. You don't have to do it all at once. Just do your inspections this weekend. This is a good time. Do your inspections this weekend if you can. Figure out what you need to replace. Do your build list. In other words, create that little checklist of things that you need to replace. Order it from HRO and whomever, and then get it. When you get it in, install it. And what will happen is this winter, when stuff happens like snow, rain, lightning, ice, all that stuff, you'll stand a better chance of being able to stay on the air longer than all of a sudden discovering, oh crap, this whole batch of connectors is underneath water and it froze. And then what happens with water when it freezes? It expands. What happens with moisture inside of a coax cable? It expands. It'll cause it to crack and create more of a problem. And then you'll have an even bigger problem as you start to go throughout the season. You're saying, oh man, I can't get that coax now. It's too stinking cold. Except if you're in Florida, then it's a different story.
Yeah. Well,
Did Katie tell you what failed on our shack this weekend?
The connector?
a barrel connector.
Oh, yeah, it was-
Of
Oh,
all
yeah.
things, a barrel connector.
he was just
thing.
happy it wasn't his antenna.
Yeah, when she said it was the 80 meter, I'm going, oh.
I know.
It was the jumper for the barrel between the rig and the antenna switching
Yeah.
system.
Oh, man.
But you were talking about, having to go out in the wintertime to fix things. I have pictures of Dwayne walking through like 4 feet of snow in the backyard going out to the tower. I can't remember what it was. It was one of the contests. Because otherwise we wouldn't be doing it. But it was a contest weekend.
It must have been a contest, right?
It was a contest weekend, and he was out at the tower, all
Yeah.
bundled up.
We had a failed rotary remote switch.
Oh,
I grabbed about 4 barrels and I ran out there and made the connections out there. I said,
a
okay,
manual.
we're stuck to here unless I have to run back out and change them.
right.
You don't
All
want
right,
to be you don't want to be on the tower in the winter. Let me tell you, I had a repeater up in my house one time before we moved it, and I had a friend over putting an antenna up on the tower, and the tower had ice all over it, and it'd been sleeting, and he was up there a long time. I said, "What's wrong? What's taking you so long?" And he had his hands in his pocket up there, and he was warming his hands.
Oh,
He'd
yeah.
actually put the nuts and lock washers in his mouth to hold them, and he actually swallowed a lock washer while he was up
Oh,
there.
jeez. Oh, no.
Interesting thing, Jerry, W8RQM, made a note that my Navy ship had a metal ground and a floating ground. Measured voltage from the two was 55 volts. And especially if a ship is, in motion over the water,
Yeah.
it's friction. And there's a differential, and it's like almost like a battery. So that's an interesting phenomenon that a lot of people don't really realize, that there's a huge difference. There's a differential between the two, and that's saltwater. Imagine what it's like in dirt. But anyway, that's a topic for another discussion for another day.
We
Do we
had a terrible snowstorm.
Yeah.
Static.
Oh, yeah.
That's why every antenna we have is a DC grounded type antenna. I won't run with anything less than that.
Right.
Because snow in the wintertime out here it makes a radio useless on a dipole.
Yeah, you'll have like an S10 plus over, if you don't overload the front end. Matter of fact, I'm looking at the levels right now at the house. Well, that's because someone's talking. But on 40 meters, typically our levels are like S1, where I'm at right now, all year round. And when we got weather coming in, like what's happening with us right now, we've got that storm coming up from the south. You can hear it start to move. You can hear all that activity going on down below, hundreds of miles away. You can hear those static discharges, and you can see the S meter. I should probably get rid of the bottom thing, but you can see the S meter popping up to 3, and I'm just monitoring static right now. You see it go from S1 to S3, S5, and then back down again, and it's not because someone's talking. It's the static crashes. It's because of what's going on in our Earth. The Earth is a generator, and as it turns, and the atmosphere lags behind the turn, it creates static electricity, and that's then you get to throw the clouds in there, and then it gets to be really fun.
Right.
Yeah, should I tell the Chip Margelli story?
No.
Please do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We all like
invited
listening about Chip.
we invited Chip out, Chip and Janet out for sweepstakes
Like
one
9
year.
years,
Yeah, it's been a while ago. They actually won the division and placed 5th in the United States, so I'm not going to fault that. But Chip brought his 7800, a $10,000 radio, and we had it set up in the shack. Had a 15-meter monobander out in the yard, and it was about 10:30 at night on Thursday night where he's getting everything set up, watching things work, and he hooks the radio up and he turns it on. He unplugs it. He hooks the antenna analyzer to the antenna, puts it back on the radio, turns the radio back on, and then he immediately starts cursing.
Yeah.
Now, Chip lives in Garden Grove, California.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, my radio doesn't work. It is broken. And I said, what? And he goes, there's no noise. And I said, Chip, you're in Wyoming. There's
Wyoming.
no noise.
Yeah, there's no-
Oh, wow.
yeah, we live out in the country too.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like I said, S1 right now, you don't even see it. It's below S1
All right.
meters, which is nice.
Tom, I've been trying that again. WI7KY in the chat room is always high text, and he says plus 20D is snow, and that's very
Yeah.
true out here,
Yeah.
especially in the wintertime. Boy, oh boy. he's in the southern part of the state. He's about 4 hours south of us.
When I was a young one and we lived in Nebraska, I could always hear the snowstorms or even the blizzards coming in. It was nice outside, and you could just hear them coming in by listening on the shortwave, or we had an old Viking Johnson system, and you just listen to it and you could hear the static, and the static would build, the static would build, the static would build, and just start getting bigger and bigger, and you could almost, guess exactly, about when that storm front was going to hit you based on, the noise level going from here to here to here. I just noticed my hands are really dirty. Sorry, guys. I was working on machines today, so it's...
Yeah, that's been brought up in the chat room already.
Oh, has it?
Yeah.
I didn't notice it.
Somebody mentioned your fingernails, I think.
I see
Yeah.
you putting part of your blood in the system too.
Hey, it wouldn't be a good antenna if I didn't put something into it. Just kidding.
So you put a
But yeah.
biohazard sticker on those?
Yeah, sometimes the CNC, those bits are like razor sharp, and if they're still spinning when you're reaching in, anyway. In other words, it's spinning down and you accidentally get a little too close to it, or it throws something up.
So guys, look, why don't we do this? Let's, in just a minute, let's go over and talk with Dwayne and Katie about their antennas and what happened there. And then, Emmett, after that, we'll come back on with you, maybe open the phone lines up, and we'll continue the antenna discussions. Does that sound okay?
Sounds like a plan.
All right, well, everybody stand by a second. We'll be right back. It's time to get the transceiver that's best suited for your lifestyle. ICOM offers a variety of high-performance and innovative products. See how you can make the most out of contest season with one of these transceivers. The competitive edge you've been looking for is in the IC7851. Raise the bar and hear what others cannot hear with this flagship HF 50 MHz transceiver. It has reciprocal mixing dynamic range, crystal clear local oscillator, spectrum scope, dual receivers, and a digital voice recorder. The IC7610 is the SDR every ham wants, and just in time for contesting season. This high-performance SDR has the ability to pick out the faintest of signals even in the presence of stronger adjacent signals. The new ICOM 7610 is a direct sampling software-defined radio that will change the world's definition of an SDR transceiver. It has direct RF sampling, 110 dB RMDR, an independent dual receiver, and dual digiselect. The IC7300 has changed the way entry-level HF is designed. This high-performance, innovative HF transceiver with a compact design will far exceed your expectations. It has RF direct sampling, 15 discrete bandpass filters, a large 4.3-inch color touchscreen, real-time spectrum scope, and an SD memory card slot. Visit icomamerica.com/amateur for more information on ICOM radios. Okay, hey guys, we've got a visitor tonight. I don't know if Ray normally gets in here or not, but everybody check the chat room out there. Ray Novak from ICOM N9JA is in the chat room tonight. Everybody say hello to Ray out there. And we're going to talk. Hey, Katie, before we get into your antennas,
yeah.
Ray asked us to talk a little about the D-Star QSO party coming up. Have you got information where you can talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, be happy to. So for those of you guys that are into the D-Star, the annual D-Star QSO party is coming up. It is running from September 22nd at 00 UTC all the way to Monday the 24th at 2400 UTC. There's all kinds of really cool prizes. You can win an ICR30, which is the new receiver. There are stainless steel mugs, caps. There's also going to be 16 lucky random winners. There's rules. Basically, you're trying to make as many D-Star QSO points as you can. And depending on how many contacts you make and where they are, you get point structures for that. And there is a website, which I'll plug into the chat room, but anybody who may be listening and not in the chat room, it's www.icom.co.jp, then /world/ Delta Queen Papa for D-Star QSO party. So on there's a list of the contest rules, log reporting, the schedule. So as I mentioned again, it's just the purpose is really just to make as many QSOs as you can using the D-Star repeaters. and you want to talk around the world, so it's not limited to just the U.S. I think that's even the fun part of it all. I know this is not the first time they've done this, and I've seen it all over Twitter and Reddit in the past, and it always seems to be a lot of fun, and people get very excited and active and participate. And of course, we always like contests where there's good prizes. So I've just plugged in the website address for you guys to check it out. And I'll remind you again next week, because we got a few more weeks so you can get ready for it. If you don't have your D-Star radio, now's the time. You can go get hooked up with it and check it out. So again, the D-Star QSO party is taking place the September 22nd through 24th. And if you just even Google D-Star QSO party, you'll find the website for it in case you didn't write down what I just told you about or find it in the chat room. And we'll also see about getting some of the graphics from ICOM and put that in the Facebook group. So those of you that are in there, you can also get reminded that way also. So there you go. So join in the fun on ICOM D-Star party.
Cool. And I think we're going to try to do something else with this D-Star thing, maybe in the next week or two. I sent Ray a note. Ray, tell me what you want to do, and we can do it. Not an issue here. If you want to do something live or anything, we can do it. Hey, let me make just a couple quick announcements real quick while we're kind of in between here. Next week, I've got Dan Toma with me, Y03GGX from Bucharest, Romania. I probably didn't say it right. From Romania. He is the developer. He's the developer of the Pocket RX TX app that I've been showing you guys on how to do remote shack or remote base with your rigs. And this is a great little app. You guys have seen me demonstrate it and show it to you. It's a free app. You can actually put a remote base on for free, and it'll work HF, VHF, UHF, whatever your radio does. If you want the Pro version, it will cost you, I think it was $2.99 for the Pro version. But hey, it's a great app. He's going to be with us. He's getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning next week to be on our show live from Romania. So he'll be with us next week. Hey, for listening again out there on WBCQ, famous international shortwave station up in Monticello, Maine, on 5130, shoot us an email to tom@w5kub.com and let us know where you are. We've been getting reports from the UK and from Costa Rica and other places, and we enjoy getting your mail there. So let's get back to Katie and Dwayne there real quick. And I think Katie's got some pictures to show us some antenna work they've been doing, right?
Yep, and I just hit share screen. Oh yeah, perfect. Yay. With this new Skype, we're still trying to figure everything out, and I've been watching Emmett and you, or Emmett and myself, and a half of a screen each, and it's been really goofy tonight, so I'm not quite sure what's been going on. But yeah, well, you're always goofy, Emmett. So here's just a quick shot, where we actually purchased this antenna, which is the Cushcraft XM240 2-element 40-meter beam. Yes?
Yes.
Woohoo, got it right. A ham friend of ours was selling off his gear, and we drove down to Casper, which is about 3 hours away, one afternoon, disassembled it, put it in the pickup truck, reassembled it, and brought it home. And there it sat.
Something wrong with that order.
Huh? Well,
we didn't reassemble it before we put it in the
pickup.
pickup.
No, sorry, yeah. So after we got it home, it sat in the driveway amidst other antenna parts for the last 3 years or so. So we finally had the chance to get this thing put together, and so I just thought I'd show you. I've talked on Facebook a little bit about how big this thing is, and hopefully that gives you a bit of an idea of what the size of this beam is. So there is, I think my things might have gotten out of whack. This is which rotator is this that we got for?
This is the M-squared, or otherwise known as the Orion 2800 rotator. It's a very nice DC rotator with great gear reduction. Doesn't even have a brake in it, so it's got such great gear reduction. And I have been warned that if the antenna binds up at the top of the tower, that the earth will rotate under it, because that rotator will just keep turning.
It is pretty neat. So I was just, and it's super heavy, of course, like every other one. So this was as we were kind of getting things set up at the beginning of the day, and there's Dwayne's son Joe and our future daughter-in-law Christy out there. We were putting her to work, and Tom Wing, W7ETR, one of our regulars on our antenna projects. And Joe is KC0 Foxtrot Whiskey Golf.
Yeah.
Fat white guy. That's how I always remember it. So, hey, it works out pretty good. And then, as you can see down below, lots of pieces and parts all over the place. But I was just trying to get a few things. Dwayne needed to do a little bit of work. What were you doing there? I was trying to catch you soldering.
Making up the Ultraflex 400. Use the LMR 400 Ultraflex at the top of the tower, and making up the connector to run from the ballon all the way down to just below the rotator, so that it flexes and doesn't break apart. Because we use LMR 400, the regular stuff coming up and down the tower. It's much too stiff to use around the rotator.
Hey,
Right.
Dwayne, I've got a question about that Ultraflex right there. I'm putting my azimuth elevation antennas back up, and of course they're going to rotate on me. And I've got Messi. Are you familiar with the Messi cable? MESSI from Italy. It's a new cable that had come out. I think MFJ is carrying it now. It's an equivalent to LMR, very low loss. They sent me a couple 100-foot runs of their low loss Superflex. I guess it's probably very equivalent to the LMR 400 Superflex. Are you saying that that's flexible enough just to go ahead and put the antenna and just leave enough loop air for the rotors to turn?
I hope so.
That's the plan. We'll let you know if it doesn't. So yeah, well, the pictures with everybody outside moving ropes and doing things. So here's Dwayne and Joe out getting. Yeah.
Now we've made up that Ultraflex, that LMR 400 Ultraflex. We got to strap it onto the antenna. It's a 2-element beam, and you can see right under my hand there, right next to my hand, is the ballon that's on the antenna itself. So that's what we're doing, is strapping that wire to the boom.
Right. And then if you look just behind Joe there, or just between Joe, you'll see a Jeep out there. That's Tom's Jeep, and he has the cabling and the winch on the front of it. So that was an integral part of the activity this weekend. And so here we are getting all the ropes set up with the pulley. Thank you. I can't think of what that thing's called. The thing that goes around and around and around. The picture is clear on one's monitor versus the other. So, so there's Joe and Grandma over there, WI7MOM watching, and I think Peekaboo got in, and they were just kind of looking up. This was before climbing up the tower, and I think they were discussing that. And Christy was hiding outside because she doesn't like to see Joe climbing the tower yet.
Is he wearing a face mask?
Is he? No. And I had my coffee cup. I got it this year at Hamvention from the Yaesu folks.
Yeah, we will be sending a bill to Yaesu for the product placement.
Yeah, product placement. Well, I figured we were using I thought it was their rotator. All right, so here's the guy starting to climb the tower. And as you can see, that this is the 100-foot tower that the new antenna was going on, and behind it's the 50-foot tower. And my mom watching, and so Joe's climbing up, and Dwayne's heading up there. Now, already up on the tower was the high gain 204BA 4-element 20 meter, and one of the first things they needed to do was actually move that up to make room for the 40-meter beam. And you ended up moving that up 8 feet, you said?
Yeah, it's 8 feet higher there now than
it
was.
I'm just going to click through because a couple of these are probably close to the same. Oh.
So now we have the 204BA is up at 110 feet, and the Cushcraft XM240 is 102 feet up.
Right. And here's the handy dandy bucket everything that we had. That's one of the first things that gets sent up there was the bucket of stuff. Which has pretty much everything in it you could possibly need up there. At least that's the hope.
Do you put any refreshments in there?
You know, we really should have. We never do.
We do sometimes.
Sometimes, but yeah, we should have sent some water up there because it was pretty hot.
It was a wonderful day. The temperature was about 80 degrees. The wind was blowing too much to start with.
Right.
But I think we'll get to that part of the story here in a few minutes anyway.
Yeah. So, okay, let's see. So now both of the guys are up top. And I don't know what they're doing up there. You
can see the antenna that 204BA is now about 4 feet above the top. And if you look right
here,
yeah, right at the bottom of that, that's the mast sticking through the rotator plate.
Right here.
So what we did was we took the mast is a 26-foot long mast, and we hooked a bracket to it and have a come along, and we loosen up bearings. There's a set of bearings that you'll see my feet are standing on the bearings there, and then there's one on the top. And so we just hook that bracket up and take a come along, a 1 ton come along, and start jacking that thing up. When we get it to the height we want, we tighten up the bearings and then put the rotator back under it.
I think there you have, that's a better shot where you can see
Yeah, you
your
can
feet
see
there.
that it's now gone through the plate. It's not sticking through the bottom plate up, so it's high enough to start working with.
Well, this was a little bit later. This, there was times, obviously, I had to help out too, but we had a problem with the lead.
Tagline.
The tagline blew in the wind. We were mentioning the wind, and it blew over on the roof, and then it didn't end up blowing back, and then it blew over into the satellite antennas and wouldn't come loose. So then Bill, N7QAX, he climbed up the tower on the other side of the garage where our 6-meter antenna is, which is this one here, and had to go untangle it all, and it got really, really badly tangled in there. It turned out to be quite the project to just get that done down there.
It was tangled so bad that Katie had to come in the shack and rotate the antenna system so
that's
you could
right.
get it loose.
I did. I had to come in and move the antenna I had to turn the rotor all the way, completely south.
Yeah, rotator.
Rotator, sorry. We had this argument over the weekend. So there's a better shot. I just kind of backed up so you can see. And Dwayne had to come down also to help with just freeing that thing up. So that was Bill getting up on the roof that day. I had to have a gratuitous cat shot in there for you guys. There's Juliet. She was sitting on somebody's lap watching
That's Bill's lap.
Oh, it's Bill's lap. Okay, this was after Bill got back, but that's Juliet. Okay. Gratuitous cat shot over. There was Mom. Okay, now we're getting ready for this antenna to move, and you can see it's off the ground. I think, once again, we're a little off schedule, but I was trying to help out. That round antenna, that was just for our internet. Okay, so here we are. You'll see there's the rope, and I'll have another shot coming up, I think, where you can see. Okay, so Bill's standing over here guiding it. And Tom is over here in the corner at his Jeep with the winch, which is managing some of the lines here. I know, sorry, we got too many things on the table here trying to see what's happening. But you can see here's the line, and it's starting to go up. And there's another shot of it. There's a couple of these are just kind of along the ways. As you can see, the day was kind of moving along as we were getting towards the end. You can see the sky is vastly darker than it was when we began. So here it is up here. It's getting closer. And
at this point, you have to wrestle this thing over the top guy lines.
Yeah, that was a problem. We had to run and untie a bunch of things that we hadn't gotten earlier in the day. And this was one of the bits of damage we had. We had one branch. So that we had a gratuitous cat shot and a gratuitous tree damage shot from the antenna work.
Tree dribble.
Yeah. All right. So again, this is just kind of giving you guys some views of what we were trying to do. Here's we got an antenna here, and here's Dwayne's at the guy line. I think we were working to get it because it kept getting stuck, so we had to keep turning things and moving around. It was really quite a beast. And now we're getting much closer. As you can see, it's getting close to the top. Can't say I really enjoy shots like that where I see my husband leaning over like that, but
I'm not going to fall off.
He's all strapped in good. And just kind of dragging it closer. And about this time, we're all starting to feel like, oh my gosh, maybe we're actually going to get it there. And yeah, look, so just to give you an idea, there's Dwayne up there at about, 95 feet or something, 90 feet,
yeah.
Balancing that, getting it up the last few feet. And here's Tom running the Jeep. And at this point, the sun was just at a horrible position. So we were having the worst time trying to see what was going on. And so I just thought these were kind of just some neat looking shots, I thought, between all the wires and the way the sun was. And there's one getting closer. I thought Joe kind of looks like a little dinosaur up there. And see what I mean? It kind of looks like he's wearing one of those T-Rex costumes.
Yeah, that's the
that would have been awesome though. And we're getting there. And almost there. And I had to run around because we thought I had to disconnect the 160 meter antenna, so I was on the other side of the house. As you can see, we still need to finish our paint job and get another shot from them getting these up there. There's Dwayne down below, and Joe's here. We're just about there. And I think you have it. There it is. It finally made it to the top. And then,
if you'll notice,
yeah. See, this was
during
another
the process
project.
of doing it, the truss line, which was taped to the tower, came loose.
Right.
So that's the truss line hanging out there,
Right here.
12 feet from where I am.
Yep.
So
you notice what's here he is, and then this
So
right here.
I took a wrench and tied it to a rope and threw the rope out and lassoed that truss line and got it back over to the tower.
Right. It took a
Because
few tries.
We'd have had to take that antenna back down if I couldn't have hooked it.
Yeah, there was no way that was going to happen. So he's literally kind of standing backwards and sideways and lassoing this thing. So my cowboy here managed to lasso it in. So we're just about wrapping things up, and it's up there. And now my 50-foot tower looks like a midget. Now here's another thing that happened. Here's another bit of ingenuity. What was this that came down? Here is a
It's the tagline. It got loose, and Bill lost the grip on it. So it's about 15 feet above the ground, and Tom is trying to hook it with the rake to get the tagline pulled tight.
And it had a wrench on it, so we thought, maybe between the wrench, we were trying from the ground on a ladder first, and then he drove his Jeep into the backyard and was trying to get it with that. We ended up waiting, and as Joe climbed down, we finally got it all twisted up enough that as we kind of paired up and were able to get it down. But so this was just kind of another shot of what Tom was doing, standing up on the top of his Jeep to get that done.
That is not an OSHA-approved ladder.
No,
Yeah.
And that was actually my last shot of our activities for the day. And let me see about turning this off. So that was it. So next we have some things. Whoa, super close up. Yikes. So next, what has to be done next?
I just ordered. I thought I had enough of the LMR 400, and it turns out I don't. So I just ordered another roll of that. It'll be here this week sometime.
Oh, goody.
Get an LMR 400, unless Emmett's going to send me some for nothing. But
How much do you need?
A lot.
it's on the way, Emmett. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
But that's the next. We do have to make one more trip up the tower. We did run out of daylight, and the next day I was too sore to want to climb it again. So
then we had to do some family stuff. I wasn't going to let him do any
So
more
we're going to
family
go up Saturday. I'll drag the rotator control line and two more runs of LMR 400 to the top of that tower. And there is a rattle that we can hear when the wind's blowing. I'm going to try and investigate that and see what that rattle is. But we're probably going to live with that rattle if I can't find it, because climbing up and down a 100-foot tower is not fun for me at my age.
I don't know, your neighbor, the LOLND there, or as WI7LL, as our friend Leo, who's a silent key, had nicknamed my mom when she moved in, the LOLND, the little old lady next door. So she noticed it too over there, but it's not that bad. It just has it sounds like something spinning around, and we've had some really bad wind this weekend. But yeah, it's been quite a project. And again, we couldn't do it without the help of our friends and son. And thank you especially to Bill N7QAX and to Tom W7ETR for once again coming to the rescue and helping us make this happen.
The goal is not to be loud. The goal is to be terrifyingly loud. So we're trying to become a contending contest station, and I guess we're not going to ever be a big gun. We just don't have the property, but we can be a small gun.
Yep. And have some fun. We're looking forward to having some fun this contest.
Well, I would think after, that work there, you're planning to stay in that home for a little while, aren't you? You're not planning on moving in the next year or two.
Oh no, we're not going anywhere.
It's actually a very good location, ham-wise, for a domestic contest. All the stateside contests, because we're one hop from California and one hop from the Midwest, the Chicago and Indiana and those
Illinois,
areas,
all those guys.
and two hops from from the East Coast and down into Florida and Georgia. So it's a really good location, as far as I'm concerned, to be in the domestic contest. And we have a few plaques to prove that we can do it. We finished in the top 10 in several things without a 40-meter beam. So now the 40-meter beam is up. expect us to have better results.
Let's hope
Well,
so,
next
yeah.
Tuesday night, our net, Roundtable net, we're going to have to listen for that beam. Katie, aim it toward us. Tuesday.
If we get it hooked up, that'd be
Yeah.
awesome.
The question is, will the cranky old man climb the
Right.
tower again this weekend?
Yeah.
I might have to make some more cookies.
Well, I tell you,
Well,
great, hey,
hopefully-
great job. But as you showed, you can have all the perfect planning up front, and something always happens to add 1, 2, or 3 hours to it,
Oh, yeah.
doesn't it?
Well, one thing that was kind of fun that happened, fun being fun, was that while Joe was up at the top of the tower, he drops this bolt. It was a metric bolt, right?
Yeah, the metric bolt.
We-
No, it was a fine thread bolt. We
Oh.
didn't have another fine thread.
Didn't have
bolt.
another one, and didn't have another one that they could like send down so I could run to the hardware store before they closed. So my mom and I and Tom were we're out literally on our hands and knees scouring through the grass, and I had a bunch of grass around the wires which I had just ignored, and so my mom went and got her weed whacker. So she's weed whacking right down to the dirt practically. We're scouring this whole area, cannot find the thing. We finally just gave up. And then when he came down, he walked down to get in the shack. It was down in the stairwell. It had come down and bounced all the way over to the
Yeah.
stairwell to the
Wow.
shack. I was like, what are the odds of that happening?
The
Because
thing
Tom's
is-
like, oh, it couldn't have gone more than a foot away from where it fell.
I love my kid, but he hasn't done much tower work. And when he dropped that bolt, rather than let the thing fall straight down, he tried to grab it, and that is a big mistake. Just let those things. When you drop something from the tower, let it go straight down, and you can find it. Instead, when he tried to grab it, he slapped it, and it went all the way over to the house.
Right. And we had
Yeah.
no idea because we never heard it. I thought I had heard it hit the ground, but which I very well may have, but never heard it go anywhere else. But yeah, I mean, that's why I like to show the pictures of the goofy things that happen, like trying to lasso things and using a rake. We were just trying to find random things to try to grab that line. And no project I don't think ever goes perfectly. And someone today was asking on Facebook about if anybody bled during the project or got injured, because that always means the project was a success. And I said, yes, in fact, Tom managed to scrape his thumb like right at the beginning of the project on the wheel there. What do you call that thing?
The wheel thing, the pulley.
The pulley.
Yeah,
I
the
don't
wheel
know, I
thing.
can't remember that
Yeah.
today.
All right.
Scraped his thumb up pretty good. It was bleeding everywhere, and he had rubbed his face at one point. So then he had all his blood smeared. I said, I really should get a picture of you looking like this, or say you really get beat up when you come up to our house and do antenna projects. But
Yeah, Napoleon was a great military leader despite all of his other faults. And one of his sayings has lasted throughout history, and that is, "No plan survives first contact with the enemy."
Yeah.
It's the same
yeah.
thing with the tower.
I still have the visualization of your mom with a weed whacker.
oh yeah,
Well, I hope. Now, did you put a hard hat on her while she's down here weed whacking?
I should have, but
Yeah.
no, we should have, especially since things had fallen. But no,
We were pretty much at a standstill without the bolt. So
yeah, they were just hanging out up there talking.
we came down for lunch, and it's a good thing that that we did, so that we could wait for the wind to calm down. The wind picked up so bad we were going to stop climbing.
yeah.
We were literally going to stop the project because it got. But right after lunch, the gods looked at it and said, "Hey, maybe they want to put that up," and it died down to nothing. So we had a beautiful afternoon after that to put that up. So
Yeah.
we climbed up with zero wind afterwards, and it was a good climb then.
Well, cool. Hey, great story. It looks like you're almost there. Let's try to get it going before next Tuesday. I want to hear it.
All right, you heard him.
Yeah.
So hey guys, I'm gonna open
Yeah.
some phone lines up here. It's 10 after 9. I'm gonna open a phone line up, and we can continue. And Dwayne and Katie, you guys, just stick around, and people might want to even call and say hi to you. But I'm gonna put the
Nobody wants
phone.
to talk
I'm gonna
to
put
me.
the phone number up, and let's just see where the rest of the show goes here, and we'll
Hey,
have
Tom,
a good
that's
time.
a
here.
900 number.
That's a 9. Oh, that's the wrong number. That's the 900. Yeah. Okay. Hey, 901-286-1116. Anybody wants to give us a call? Emmett's on here. We got Katie. We got Dwayne. I'm here.
Hey, real quick, just
Yeah.
a real quick note. If anyone in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex in that area is wants to come out and visit on Tuesday, come visit us out at HRO. We'll have MCOM on there set up and doing some live demonstrations and a couple other things. So if you're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, come visit us at the HRO store in Plano.
Yay.
We have that 30-foot crank up tower, which is really kind of cool. People
That is
always
very
ask us
cool.
about it, and that's an HRO exclusive.
It is. And again, don't forget D-Star QSO party coming up September 22nd through the 24th. If you just Google ICOM D-Star party, you'll find the details. Or if you go to www.icom.co.jp/world/Delta Queen pop-up /contest, you'll run into all the details. And again, all licensed ham radio operators can participate. It's on D-Star, and it's just about making as many QSOs around the world as you possibly can. And then there's all kinds of prizes that you can possibly win. So check out their website and put it on your calendar now to participate.
All right, who's on the phone?
Oh, you got KB3ZVH, Richard in Erie, Pennsylvania.
KD3ZDH?
That is correct, KB3ZVH.
Wow.
Richard in Erie, Pennsylvania.
You know, one of our co-hosts on here is Riley Hollingsworth from the FCC, and his call's ZDH, I believe, K4ZDH.
I believe he's KD4 ZDH.
It's K4. I think it's K4ZDH, isn't it?
Oh, K4, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, hey, now, where are you located?
In Erie, Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay. Erie, Pennsylvania. Boy, look, our signal.
I talked to you earlier this year about all that snow we had.
Yeah, when you got nailed with that snowstorm. I remember that, Richard.
All right. Well, cool.
And, reason I called, I got a question to ask from the four of you. I only have Alaska that I need left to get my worked all states. When is the best time to try to work Alaska? I've got a off-center fed dipole antenna, and it's kind of favoring kind of the west to southwest.
So west to southwest is going to be a problem for you.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
If you can reorient that, it would be a little better for you.
Hey, but
early evening for 40 meter, later evening for 80 meter, and late afternoon for 20 meter.
Yeah.
I would not even think about 10, 15, 12, any of the other stuff now. But like I said, late afternoon for 20 meter. So you're heading to your late afternoon. Alaska would be in their mid morning to mid to afternoon, and then you 40 meter. When you get into early evening, you're going to want to try and wait till the sun is setting in Alaska, and you are in 40 meter range. And then once the sun has set, then you can do 80. So that's going to be your best time options.
Yep. And in November, you'll get
if you can
sweepstakes
arrange,
is a great time.
Yeah, if you can arrange to have someone on at that time, that also helps. You know, instead of just trying to randomly hear Alaska, and you know, you ought to be able. You should be able to look some of these calls up on QRZ, send them some emails, try to arrange a schedule, and hey, it doesn't have to be.
AL1G is Corliss Alpha Lima 1 Golf. I'm sure if you look her up on QRZ and get her email address, she's always good for that, and she's always on all the big stateside contests. You usually don't have a problem hearing her. She's just one person that I know of that's very active on the air from Alaska, but there's quite a few. Yeah,
during sweepstakes, CW and Voice, Alaska has a great big station up there that, what is it, AL1 or AL7RF? Is that it?
Something like
Anyway, you look at your spotters, go to your spotting networks, DX Summit or some of the others, and look at those during contest, and you can see Alaska because it is a rare grab sometimes. And you can see where they are. And if they happen to be in your time slots that you're looking for, and also on the bands you're looking for, then jump out there and try and grab them.
Yeah, and you know what? It doesn't have to be a 5-9 signal. If you're just trying to work Alaska, you know,
Right.
a 3x3 will work, right?
Yeah, static that you could understand.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But especially, I know we get emails like that being in Wyoming where someone's looking for our state as their last one for worked all states. And I don't know a ham that doesn't, if they can't do it, they always know somebody who's around during the day who can. So I've certainly done that if I've gotten a message from somebody looking for our state and maybe I'm not around. So I'll hit up Tom, WY7KY, or Jack and 7MJ, some of the guys that are around and a little more active during the day. And yeah. Oh,
Yeah, but for some of those people that send us emails wanting us to work 10 and 6
yeah.
this time of year, 15 and 12, wait till the sunspot cycle comes up. You're going to be sitting on it for about 4 years or 5 years, and
Yeah.
because we are in a total. I mean, I've been on 10, 2 times in the last 6 months or so. It's just not there. So there's no need in asking us for 10, 12, or 15. 6 works on scatter, but barely.
We're not just in the
Yeah.
solar minimum. We're in a grand solar minimum, which means it's like, you know, that's why the low bands are the king.
Yeah.
Well,
Hey,
we're
in the
we're
chat room,
going
a couple
only
people.
wave it up.
Yeah.
All right,
So,
we got another
well, I'll
call.
let you
Let me grab another person here. We got a bunch of calls coming in.
Okay, I'll
Thanks,
let you
Guy.
get to the next call.
All right,
Hey,
thank you.
Take care,
Thanks,
everybody.
Richard. Bye-bye.
73.
All right,
Everybody.
who's on the call? Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, who's on the
Hello.
phone?
Hello?
Hello.
Hello.
Hello?
Hola.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's Kevin from Florida.
Scott
Kevin.
in Florida.
KC7 FPF.
Hey guys, how are you?
Good. How are you? Recognize your voice
Hi.
right off the
Hey.
bat.
Yep. Hey Emmett.
Hey, how you doing?
All right. I called and talked to your wife today for a few minutes just to chit chat. Did she tell you?
Everybody talks to his wife. He doesn't.
No, actually, I was out in the shop all day today, so she hasn't filled me in yet on the day's events.
Gotcha. Well, I'm just sitting here. I watched the last part of Tom's show here. I'm filling out QSL, so
Good job.
just I got the 3 for this year for W9 IMS, so it's another one in the books for me.
Congratulations.
So
That's always fun to
Anyway.
talk to that group.
oh yeah.
Isn't the Route
oh, yeah.
66 starting up
Although
now?
he's on. I'm sorry. What did you say, Katie?
Is the Route 66 special event going on or starting up, or did it just finish or something?
I think they're in September, latter part of September, October. 'Cause I always work them
okay.
as well.
I knew it was in the general vicinity and time period as the W9 IMS. I just couldn't remember how close they were. But I thought they were both in the same month.
Yeah, Roger that. So, but now we're all right here. Storm's not going to hit us. Although that other one off the coast of Africa looks like that may be a player for us later in the month.
Yuck. That's
But
scary
anyway,
stuff.
we'll see how it goes.
All right, man. Thanks for calling.
Thanks for checking
All right,
in with
guys.
us,
Thank you.
Kevin.
Y'all
All
have a
right.
good night.
All right.
You too. Bye.
Oh, just had another call and I lost
Bye.
it. 901-286-1116. I just lost the last caller.
Okay.
we'll
Well,
have
I'll give a quick plug for the
we'll
New
have another one.
England convention that's going on this weekend up in the New England ARL conventions. It's the 7th, 8th, and 9th at the Boxborough Regency Hotel in Boxborough, Mass., also just kind of known as the Boxborough Convention. $15 to get in at the door, and it's a really nice convention. I went back when I worked for the league a couple of times, and it's always a nice gathering of people and lots of vendors and good food and New England in the fall. You can't beat it. So if anybody's interested,
Just
shop
a
up.
leafer.
Yes, leaf peepers.
Leafers. Anyway.
Leafers. And then out here in Wyoming, if you happen to be driving through, the High Plains Ham Roundup at the Kirk Gowdy State Park is going to be taking place also.
All
And
right.
there's a milk
Who's
can
on the
dinner
phone?
on Saturday. I have no idea what that is.
Milk can stew is
Hey.
wonderful stuff.
Who's on the telephone?
Hey, Katie and Dwayne and Tom. This is Tex, WY7KY.
Tex!
Hey, Tom.
Hi, Tom.
W17.
Hey,
All right.
how y'all doing? Anyway, great show tonight. And I just wanted to put a plug out. Emmett did a great job on describing the ceiling for the coax connectors, because we always do that here at the station. So Emmett, great job on
Thank you.
explaining the moisture.
Are you watching
I
this, Tom?
appreciate it. Sorry.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Well, it's a good
Well, I
thing.
am.
Emmett's upstaging you here.
Oh,
I am
is he
not.
really? No, I'll watch it here in a minute. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm sure he is. But anyway, now I just want to say the antenna videos and the pictures, I saw them on Facebook. Dwayne, Katie, great job. But now I have competition in Wyoming. I just want to let you know that.
Well,
I
good.
never thought I had competition, so I'm okay.
Oh boy. Oh, just ignore him.
Typical Scott.
Thanks, Dwayne.
Typical,
I
yeah.
appreciate that.
Hey, Tex, are you going to the Wyoming State Convention?
No, I'm going to be in Kentucky. That's why
Oh.
I had to ping Joe, K0NEB, over there to give me a weather report and some repeaters, because we're going to be running to tomorrow and Thursdays to some of that rain that's going through the Midwest. So we're going to be kind of pushing it to get over to Kentucky. But anyway, we'll be on VHF and UHF going down there, so it'll be a pretty good trip.
Oh, good. Well, have a safe travels.
Okay. Hey, great job on the antenna. Tom, thanks for letting me in.
Yeah,
And
man, you're welcome.
Emmett, great. Yeah, absolutely. Emmett, and great job on the connector stuff. Tom, we'll see you later. You guys have a good evening.
All right, 73,
Thanks.
73.
Hi, Tom.
Thank you, Tom.
All right, who's on the phone?
This is Rick, November 1 Tango Echo Kilo.
November 1. Rick, what's your call?
November 1 Tango Echo Kilo.
Rick is
Oh, okay.
our Wyoming State Convention chairman this year.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Woo-hoo,
Yeah.
Another more Wyoming
Hi,
in this
Katie.
house tonight.
Hi, Dwayne.
So what's going on in your world, Rick?
Not a lot. Crunching, getting all the last minute finishing touches done on getting ready for the convention.
It's a lot of work. I picked up the last of my items that I needed today for the basket that I'm contributing. So I've got just going nuts theme basket. So
I'm just going to show up.
yeah, he's just showing up.
Well, I'm going to grab you for something else, though, Dwayne. I need one person wants some card checking done.
I can do card checking. I'll bring a green pen.
There you go.
And that's a plug. If you're going to the Wyoming convention, I'll check your cards. So
There
bring
you
them
go.
out.
I appreciate that. Got one guy.
If you had
said he won't come
LOTW,
unless
you wouldn't have to
he
worry
can get
about
his
it.
cards checked.
Oh, jeez.
Hey, I
Who invited you tonight?
got to plug the LOTW as much as possible.
Oh,
I
good.
appreciate
Well, Rick,
you
you've been able to
plugging
get
for
on the
us, though,
air.
yeah.
You're just too busy with planning a convention.
Oh, I tell you, it's been a chore, but it's going to be so much fun. We're really looking forward to it.
Well, we are too. My mom and I were talking about it today, actually, and trying to figure out what we're going to bring to wear, and looking forward to that dinner we're going to have. That's going to be a lot of fun. They do cool stuff out here in the West.
We're having a pitchfork fondue for those people who are wondering, and that's where they take your steak and stab it on a pitchfork and cook it over a fire.
Fire. Oh, yeah.
Actually, they dip it in hot oil. That and your chicken.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
That
Yum.
sounds even
Yeah.
better.
yeah. Hello.
Deep fried anything. Bring out the ranch dressing.
Grab the Twinkies.
Yep, it's going to be a blast. Like I say, we've got vendors coming. We've got different venues. You know, as I say, since the month is emergency preparedness, we've got a group coming up from Kansas that's going to be teaching Stop the Bleed. We've got search and rescue dogs coming in and talking about that and how they work, besides the regular ham radio stuff.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm looking forward to that.
And Mike Corey from the league will be there as the keynote speaker. So
Yep. Emergency stuff. Super
Yep.
cool. Well, I'm looking forward to it and really appreciate all the work you've been doing and Anybody out there who's ever worked on a convention sure knows how much time and effort that out of your personal life goes into it. And a lot of times you're an unsung hero, but I'm hollering out to you here, Rick. Thank you for everything you're doing. And to your wife, Amy, who's also hard at work. And I'm afraid I'm having a brain fart on her call sign at the moment. But, you know,
Hey, wait.
behind every man is a hard working woman.
You can't say those words on here.
Oh, sorry. Can't say brain fart?
No.
Oh.
Watch that mouth.
Sorry, I won't say brain fart anymore.
You can't say it over our show. We'll get I don't know who it is that monitors the internet, but we'll probably get a letter
YouTube
now.
police.
No, senior moment.
Yeah. All right.
Oh my
Thanks
goodness.
a lot.
Well, thanks for calling in, Rick.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Rick. See you
less
next
than 2 weeks.
weekend.
All right. Who we got on the phone?
Well, good evening, Tom. Your show's getting way too popular. This is Russ,
Hey, Russ.
KG0BK. I usually get in on 1 or 2 calls, but I had to call like 7 times tonight. Congratulations.
Hey, the phone. Let me tell you, the phone lines are lighting up tonight. I can't. Not that I want to get rid of people, but you know, you got to kind of. If you can't get through, just keep trying. You know.
Yeah, you're gonna have to cancel your late night thing after the show because it's going too long. But that's wonderful. Heard you on the air tonight, and thanks for texting me back. But I didn't try to call you. You came in here in Iowa about at 5:09 for about 15 minutes, and then you went down and gone. But my real call is for Dwayne, I guess. Well, first of all,
Better pay attention.
to Katie and Dwayne and putting up the tower, I posted on the chat room, I says, what takes longer, putting up a tower or building your own radio? And it looks like in my real little dinky question, the radio takes longer, or the tower takes longer to build than the radio does. So I just want to let you know that.
No. We had this tower assembled and put up in 2 days.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
but
unless
you had to
you
do the base, though. How
Unbelievable.
long did it take to do the base?
Oh, I guess you got to look at that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, digging the base hole here. We live on a rock. I'm not kidding you. It's a big rock, and to put the base in, I borrowed a backhoe from a friend, and I got down about a foot, and I hit a rock so large that I couldn't get around it, digging a 4x4 hole, 5 foot deep. And so we had to go and rent a jackhammer and break that rock up to get that hole dug. And so we have a 4x4 by 5 foot deep hole under the tower. And then we have two, just a little over bucket width, or 2 bucket widths in each anchor base, where we dug down as deep as we could reach with the backhoe. And then we stuck 10-foot drill stem. Those people who don't live near petroleum products, drill stem is pipe that's 3 7/8 inch diameter, and it has a 5/8 thick wall around it. So it's very, very heavy. And we use that for our anchors for the guy lines.
Hey, did you put up steel cable or use the non-conductive guys?
I use the polyfill, the I guess that's what they call it, polyfill, or fill strand, one of those products like that. Don't remember the exact brand name, but it's got a 3/8 line that runs to the top, and then 5/16 lines that run to the middle and the bottom. And we use that because when you have more than one frequency on a tower, so you got multiple antennas on a tower, if you don't break the metal one up and break it up into patterns that are not in bandwidths for each one of your antennas, they will affect the pattern of the antenna. So we just went with the poly stuff and forgot the steel altogether on this.
So can a person walk up to that poly line and cut it with a knife?
If you can cut it with a knife tensioned up like that, it's
I mean, I'm just wondering how, how strong it
it's gonna
is.
be a
You know,
very
it's,
good knife.
take a serrated blade knife. I mean, could a person? Is it like a rope? Could you actually cut it? You think?
It'd take him a while to get through it. It's Kevlar on the inside.
Yeah.
It's hard stuff. What I use for, hold on, let me take my earphones off here.
Oh, he's gonna go find something.
So I
He's
guess
not going back in the closet, is he?
No, he's not going in the closet.
use some
He's going
like
to the-
cable cutters or something to cut it.
Oh, I'm not oh, there he goes.
What's he got there?
Yeah.
At least put one
So
here.
this is what I use to cut them with.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And you see, it's a hefty little tool, and it will cut. Well, we gotta move it there.
Yeah. Nope, you're going
Katie will
right.
get it in front of the camera there. Anyway, those are what you use to cut that stuff. In fact, I bought those just for cutting this polyester line. It turns out that it works really good for cutting coax nice and square.
Yeah.
Yeah. But somebody would have to
Okay,
climb. I mean, you can't even really hardly even
Yeah.
reach the bottom piece. I tried to hang in a plant on it
Yeah,
once.
our bottom, it's 6 feet between the ground and the top of the guy anchor. Then when you take the added in the turnbuckles in there,
Turnbuckles.
you got to get a ladder to get up to it
Okay.
and cut it.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to reach it from the ground.
Now let me ask you a question. A squirrel can't chew through that, can it?
We don't have squirrels.
We have cats, so we don't have squirrels.
Okay. Okay.
In fact, we have a cat that has figured out that if he catches a squirrel, they fight back, so he kills it instantly.
Ooh.
Yeah,
When
we
it-
had like one squirrel here earlier this year and never saw him again.
Yeah,
So
when Lefty catches a squirrel, it looks like something from Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom. He rolls up in a ball, he comes out of the ball, and the squirrel is limp. He doesn't play with him, he just kills him.
it's not nice.
Okay, thanks for that information.
Look
And,
that way.
I did answer back though after they said it takes longer to build the radio than the tower. Somebody asked if there was going to be a prize, and I just said, well, you're both wrong. It takes longer to get the ground to be able to put that up than it does anything else. But,
Yeah.
And the last one
Yeah,
was
that's a good point.
The
Yeah.
tower, the
Last
100
one's
feet of
for
tower was
Emmett.
assembled
Yeah,
in 2 days.
thanks. Last one's for Emmett. Emmett, do you have any problems on your RF connectors, like especially on VHF? I'm finding this a lot on VHF and UHF. Do you have any problems with them just loosening on your radio for actually no reason? Is that part of the vibration thing?
As a matter of fact, it is. That's part of it. It's called micro vibrations, is what it's called. And one of the things that we've run into over time was exactly that problem. We discovered when we started building balons in the beginning, we were using a lot of like the normal transformer wire that a lot of people use for their other manufacturers use for their balons. And we discovered that things would short out after a period of time, just like everybody else's. And after studying it, we found out that what was happening was the wires in the balun itself would literally rub together and then eventually create that short. And it's the micro vibration. And the way they described it to us, where we get we use inverter wire, and the way they described it to us was high frequency, high impulse will always have that problem. In a normal, like a DC motor, the normal, enameled wire will be just fine because it doesn't do a whole lot. Whereas in our environment, we're high impulse, high frequency, and high voltage at times, and quite often things will just start moving, and as they start to move, it'll wipe out. And yeah, to answer your question real quickly, yes, it could possibly be that problem. And doing something like I grabbed one of my portable kits that I carry with me all the time. Is this stuff is called Pentrox. It'll do 2 things for you. One, see that's like a gray material right there, and then what you do is you put a little bit on the threads. It makes for good for sealing the threads, sacrificial element in there, so that way if there's any oxidization, the grease gets it. And also what it will also do is it will help prevent things from backing out, as in if the SO239, sometimes when you start doing those SOs, when you screw them all down, they feel like they're nice and tight, but in all reality, it just takes a little vibration and they just get really loose and they just spin right off. And then you'll start having other intermittent problems, like 1 minute everything sounds great, and the next minute things sound terrible because you're picking up every sound that coax is picking up.
Okay,
another product like that
that was the thing I was.
available.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I stepped on somebody.
Another product like Emmett was just showing that's available at any electrical supply house is made by a company called Thomas and Betts, and it's called Thread Lube.
Yep.
And you put that on, and it will keep water out as long as that stays inside the threads. If you open the threads up, put new coats on it before you get done. It's conductive, so don't spread it across the end of your connector and get it on between the connector and the center connector. But it's fantastic stuff.
What you'll do is you'll put it on this part of the threads, not the connector part. And what'll happen is I use the jet stuff, which is a copper based, which is exactly what you're talking about for grounding. But yeah, you put it on those threads, and it helps to reduce, that type of. Well, let's just put it this way: you screw it on, it'll probably stay in place a lot more efficiently. We
actually use it at the power plant in the high intensity discharge lighting, because the bulbs out here, they oxidize so bad close to the power plant that the corona out there is pretty bad. So we put that thread lubricant on so you can actually get the light bulb out later. And it's the product we found that works best.
Oh, thank you very much. Well, I'm also a broadcast engineer. Used to be the head technician, but now I'm just a technician, I guess. But anyway,
but wait a minute, but Russ
plus on the stuff here at home, and I was just curious about that, and hopefully we helped a lot of people listening yet.
Hey, don't let Russ fool you. He was a chief engineer and owner of a radio station at one time.
Yeah. Tom, you always throw that in there. I ain't gonna quit calling.
I didn't say what station, man. I didn't give any detail about it right there. All right, Russ, thanks for calling, man.
All right, thanks for having me tonight.
Russ.
Great show. Thanks, guys. You did wonderful.
I saw someone was talking in the chat room about deers in their yard.
Yeah.
And Katie, you've got deers. Of course, I have deers.
Oh man,
I have deers
all
in my
weekend
backyard.
Out there with the antenna workers, going through all kinds of deer poop.
Yeah, I have
there.
deers in my backyard all the time. I removed one of them last Sunday on the highway here. And so the W5 KUB mobile van is out of commission for probably about a month. But hey, it was my 5,000 pounds against whatever that deer weighed,
Yeah, that's for sure.
When you get the bill, you'll notice that the deer won.
Well, I don't know.
That could have been some serious steak dinners right there.
They gave me a quote of $4,000 right there, and they had me open the hood. They can't get the hood open, but it did take the oil cooler out. It took the air conditioner out, and the grill, and one light's kind of messed up a little. They'll find a few more things to open it up. But hey, just think of this way, man. If you take a 150-pound deer versus a 5,000-pound truck, that's a 33-to-1 ratio. We all understand ratios, and so I figured the deer got about, a couple $100,000 damage. Maybe only got 4.
Yeah. All right. Somebody in the chat room asked, "What's it called?" This is actually the product.
Here,
I got it.
Let me do that.
Katie's got to do that. Yeah. It's called Copper Shield. It is conductive, so you can't spread it between the two. You still don't have it in there.
Oh, I do. It's up there. This is a problem with this new Skype. I can't see.
Oh, you're holding up. You're doing fine. You're doing fine.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's called Copper Shield, and it keeps oxidation down, keeps moisture out, and it conducts electricity. So it's one of those things. But remember, it will conduct, so don't get it between the two terminals.
I just typed it in there. It's spelled KOPR, copper. Sounds conductive termination compound, and it's actually got a number.
Catalog number is Charlie Papa 8-TB.
And the brand is Thomas and Betts.
TNB.
TNB.
All right.
Yeah, and if you have an account with like something like Fastenal and stuff like that, you can go there, and they have a version of that. It's called Jet, and it's a copper. It's pretty much the same stuff, which is it works. Which is I use it. I have a couple bottles of it. Matter of fact, I even have it at IMCOM 1 just for that reason.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Somebody asked how much it cost. I don't know. I don't remember. So
sorry, Richie.
It's I will say this: it's not cheap. This is
Yeah.
probably $20 or so, $25.
Yeah.
It's not cheap, but it's worth every penny you'll spend on it.
All right. Hey, we'll take one more call. It's getting late.
Yeah, it's
One more call, maybe. If we don't get another call in the next 30 seconds, we'll just go ahead and we're going to end the show because I'm wanting some popcorn.
We
We
made,
have homemade ice cream.
yeah, we made ice cream this weekend.
Yeah, I might have some ice cream too. And some
I'm going to go
popcorn.
bubble away.
Maybe a peanut butter sandwich you go with the popcorn and a little bit of ice cream with some chocolate on it, man. You know, hey.
Ooh, boy, that sounds good.
I'm gonna have some ice cream and chase it with scotch.
Ugh.
Oh, that's even better. I'm coming up. I'll be over there in a few minutes.
All right, come on over.
Somebody asked, is it for high temperatures? It will work good in high temperatures. It's literally, we use it in power plants. So we don't have any problems with it.
All right. Well, we didn't get another call, so we're going
All
to
right. Dead
take
air.
the phone.
Dead
Turn
air,
off
dead
the
air,
We're going
phone.
to
dead
take the
air,
phone
dead air.
line off.
Dead air. Dead air. Dead air.
Guys,
Dead air's deadly.
thanks to everybody for joining us on the show tonight. Appreciate it. We had a good time.
Thanks, everybody. This
Thanks,
was a fun
Tom.
night.
It's good seeing you guys.
Good
Good to
seeing
be
you.
seen.
Better to be seen and not viewed.
See you next week, everybody. Tune in next week and join us, okay?
See you next week, everybody.
73, guys.
7-3.
All right. 73.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. Well, thanks so much to everybody out there that joined us. We're glad you did, and we hope you come back next week. Hey, join our 40-meter net. It's on 7180. We meet at 5:30 Central Time, 5:30 to about 7 o'clock Central on 7180. Give us a call. We're looking for net controls. If you'd like to call one of the nets, we'd love to have you do that. Take the net over so I don't have to call it. Or maybe pick up a 20-meter or an 80-meter net at the same time. I'd love to do that. We're getting a lot of good input back from viewers that are checking in on the net. They like it. It gives us all a chance to actually get on there and talk. And hey, when we're not taking check-ins, we go through the rotation and we just go over and over and over, and everybody gets a chance to talk a lot on the net. So we're real happy that it's working out for us. Again, if you're on WBCQ listening, send us email, tom@w5kub.com. Next week we got Dan Toma from Romania on to talk about the Pocket PC RX app that gives you remote-based control, and it is a beautiful app. You've seen it on a show. I've demoed it. It'll work with just about any radio, a Kenwood, Yaesu, ICOM, any of those radios. Interfaces very well, and it's just a cool app. See you next week. Good night.
So you're saying I can ask this cat any question?
The cat is connected to the computer. You just type in the question, it will read his mind. There the answer comes.
You're the man! I've been looking for this for weeks.